What shall we do with him?
What shall we do with him? What shall we do with him?
If you hurt me, you won't get the antidote.
We don't want your antidote.
Yes, you do. Everybody needs the antidote.
The Chosen don't need it.
Chosen by who?
By Zoot.
Zoot? Zoot's dead.
Zoot lives!
Zoot lives! Zoot lives! Zoot lives!
I saw him die. I helped with the funeral.
He is condemned by his own mouth. Zoot shall be avenged.
Welcome to Series 2, Episode 12 of Conversation on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Sabine.
Hi.
And Colin.
What up?
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So Series 2, Episode 12, the screenplay was done by Anthony Reed. It was directed by Costa Boats. And the episode synopsis were read out by Liz.
Escaping the farm, Dal warns the rest of the Mallrats about the Chosen and their adherence to Zoot. Realizing that they must have Brady, the tribe mount another search with Ebony taking the lead. But what are her true motives? Elsewhere, Danny continues to compete with Tysan for Bray's time, while Jack stumbles upon some surprising information only to lose it again.
Okay guys, so a meaty episode to dive into. So following on from last episode's cliffhanger, Dal confronts the Chosen. Revealing his status as a Mallrat fails to deter them, however he eventually manages to escape and warns the rest of the tribe back at the mall. So yeah, panel, what did you think of this rare moment in the spotlight for Dal and his attempts at scaring the Chosen off?
It's a good scene for him. I mean, he rarely gets any that are Dal-centric. It's been a while. And, you know, it does a lot of things. It's accomplishing a lot in this scene. We know that the Chosen are clearly just trying to scare Dal so that he will take that fear message back to the mall. You know, it's a good scene. It's a rare night scene outside of the mall. It's one of the few scenes we need to make the city seem like it could be dangerous. That's very necessary because people keep saying it's dangerous, but we haven't seen anything. So the idea these guys are creeping around in the dark is pretty creepy. I like that. It's a good scene. I can't really find much fault with it. It's a good scene. It works.
It was cute to see him try and stand up to them, though.
Laying on the authority.
The Chosen got lucky. They caught him off guard.
Do you know whose farm this is?
I feel like Dale he can handle himself. This wasn't a fair fight whatsoever. I would love to see just one of those Chosen against Dale by himself. Just one.
I do like how, once again, we get the motives of the Chosen and that the way the Mallrats are trying to control the city isn't going to work with the Chosen because, you know, Dal immediately tells him, if you mess with us, we'll cut off your antidote. And Jaffa's just like, so? We don't want it. And he's like, everybody wants it. Like, Dal is in such disbelief. Like, no, that can't possibly be true. Everybody wants the antidote. And Jaffa's like, not us. We don't care. That's scary. And that's when you can see Dal crumble. Because it's just like the one bit of authority the Mallrats have isn't working with this creepy group. And he's just like, I gotta get out of here. There's something wrong with these guys. They're giving me serial killer vibes.
It made me wonder, though, did he pay no attention whatsoever when Bray and Danny informed people that there were these strange guys at the tribe leader meeting who refused the antidote?
I think some of them probably just took it as a fluke because it was this one-time thing and nobody has seen these guys since. So everybody just wrote them off as some crazy people who just showed up at the mall. They probably just thought they were trolls. So for them to show up again, it's like, this is real. These guys really exist, and they don't want the antidote, and there's something really messed up about them, you know?
I mean, they were described as the weirdos in robes, and you'd think he put two and two together.
You think he would, but I think it's plausible that he just forgot about it, distracted himself with other stuff. A lot's been going on.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I realized the Chosen are like in such perfect coordination. Like they're always in a straight line with each other when they're harassing somebody. I wonder if they practice that.
I was going to say, how many times did Jaffa make them practice that?
Yeah.
This is the morning routine. Every day when we wake up, we do this first, then that, then that.
Wow. So it's like a military. Wow.
think the only thing that kind of annoyed me about the scene was like I didn't really understand why they were spying on Dow and confronted him.
That's why I think this was just to get a message of fear back to the mall. They're spying on these mall rats and trying to encounter them whenever they leave the mall because they can't quite get inside the mall themselves. You know what I mean? And I just feel like this is what they've been doing, spying on the mall rats whenever they leave the mall. And because if they really wanted to do something to Dal, they would have. But as soon as Dal runs, what does Jaffa say? Leave him. He's not important. It was never about Dal personally bothering him or doing something to him. It was about scaring him, getting this message into him, and knowing he's going to go back to the mall and repeat this message, and
that kind of makes it worse because like if their goal was to get Trudy, which it is, like not scaring the more rats into getting better defenses and security. That's like I didn't really quite get that.
I thought about that too. I did think that was strange. It's like they want Trudy, and that's what we find out. So why would you want the mall rats on more alert than they already are? Since you already took Brady.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always had another thought about that because Jaffa being Jaffa, he would have known where Ebony was hanging out, and he knew that she's the one. If you want to get something done from someone, just make Ebony do it for you.
Yeah, but he's really surprised to see her later, so I don't think that's what he was thinking. Honestly, if I'm gonna say anything, I think Jaffa, his belief is that stirring up chaos is the best way to get what he wants, is to freak people out. And he isn't wrong about that. People do stupid things when they're scared and panicky. And I think he's just more interested in watching it all fall apart and taking advantage of that. And then he can find a way to get to Trudy. He doesn't seem to be in a rush to get Trudy. He wants her, but he's just biding his time until there's an opening for it. Of course, Ebony provides an opening, but
he's collecting the set.
Yeah, he's just biding his time. He and his gang, they succeeded at getting the baby. Zoot has rewarded them, so it must mean they're doing the right thing. And let's just continue stirring the pot and seeing what floats to the surface and what we can do with that. But that's just a thought exercise about Jaffa.
It's just very tactical, though. Just picking up one of the mole rats at a place they think they're safe, but where he can still easily get to them, and just giving them that little hint of, no, you're not safe there either.
Because one thing he's right about, the more chaos that the Chosen are capable of creating in the mall, the more the mall falls apart. It's not like the mall becomes a more secure place. It just becomes more chaotic. The more afraid and frightened and frantic the mall rats become, it's not like the place becomes a safe fortress for anybody. You know what I mean? So he's not wrong about that.
Yeah, for him, there's power in chaos.
Yes, absolutely.
I think you're right on that, and I think it all really goes back to Zoot's teaching, kind of like the same thing Zoot taught Ebony about how to be a leader. The best way to control people or to control the city is throughout fear, and I think that's what the Guardian's intent was, just to create fear, not only in the mall rats, but in the entire city, because everyone's going to be talking about it. And also, Liz, it's just like what you said about whenever something stirs up in the mall, things seem to crumble apart. And man, I don't think the Guardian knew that always happens in a mall, but it's a great strategic mind thinking to just spread lies and deceit and watch the seeds grow into something more. And that always happens in a mall,
because it works all throughout the city for them. Like, this is their strategy through all of season 2, sowing discord, flaming the fires of misinformation and distrust and confusion. And the Mallrats are trying to hold on to their power by a thread. They cannot, it doesn't bring anybody together. It doesn't create any kind of unity. It doesn't organize anybody. It just becomes more and more of a mess. And the Chosen are able to take over. They're able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and also the Mallrats aren't good at handling power. They never was. So
no.
I think they need to stray away from that. If I was one of the leaders, or at least one of the members in the Mallrats, I would at least brought it to people's attention that I don't think as a unit, how we operate, what values we all have in each other, I don't think having power is best for us because we're not good at it.
But you can see this as an adult. Would you have been able to see that as a child in the age these kids are?
Maybe. I think, well, just looking at someone like Trudy, looking at someone like Celine and all these other members, I can tell they're not good at handling power. I can tell they do not want power. Sure, maybe Lex wants power, Ebony, and maybe Bray can do something with it, but I would say 70% of them do not want that smoke.
You make a really good point, and I do think the show makes that point. Everybody who tries to take over, none of them are actually well equipped for the power they want, but the point is that everybody wants power. All these people they lack the self-awareness of whether or not they should have the power, whether the power is best in their hands, so even the good guys or the bad guys, doesn't matter. Whoever has power, what we see time and time again are people who are ill-equipped to handle that power and aren't aware that they shouldn't have it, aren't able to admit they shouldn't have it. And it's just, a lot of it just comes from, I'd rather have the power than be powerless in this crazy world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that motivates most people. That's what's motivating the Mallrats to keep their power. Their initial plan was just to save as many people as they could, and it's like, okay, you did that, but now their agenda has changed to staying in control so they can sway the populace to live as they would like. Because, hey, this world was really scary when we didn't have any control in it, so I don't want to give up this power, even if we're probably the worst people to have it. I don't want to give it up. And we see that over and over again. So it's a great point, but I think that is kind of the thing. It's a theme through all 5 seasons. Nobody wants to give up the power because at least you have some kind of control over your life rather than letting someone else decide for you. So even if you're terrible at it, you're not going to admit that I shouldn't hold the reins. I shouldn't be driving the car. You convince yourself, hey, I'm the most sober person in the group, so I'm driving, even though it's like, nobody should be driving.
Right. And you know what the funniest thing is? The definition, or at least a quote about what power is, sums up that the Mallrats technically don't have any power, or never had any power. And the quote was, if power can be taken away from you like that, then it was never really power.
I think on that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mind's just going down a completely different path about power, because Liz, you just said they want to have control over their own lives and be able to make decisions. And I think the kids who don't want that control, that want someone else to decide, are the ones that will eventually see joining, the dark side.
Well, you're always going to have a group of people who will join any side. Mm-hmm. Whatever side seems the most superior at any given time, simply because, like you said, they don't really want power for themselves. They really don't want to make decisions for themselves. They just want to get by, and so they'll just choose the winning team. They're not loyal to any actual team. They're just like, whoever happens to be winning is who I'm going to join up with. I just don't want to get trampled. That's all I care about. So you have people like May who are just like, whoever has the highest score, that's who I'm stacking up with. And as soon as you start to lose, she is switching allegiances in a heartbeat. She's just like, I just want to live. That's all I care about.
I agree. I love May.
I just keep getting a quote from a much later episode stuck in my head with we don't have to decide about right or wrong anymore. Sue decides for us.
That must be very liberating. Yeah. When you don't have to take any responsibility for the choices you're making, you don't have to actually look someone in the face and justify choices that you've made, especially if they were bad ones. If you can just be like, oh, I'm not really in charge of what I'm doing. It's somebody else, and it justifies every heinous act I might be doing. That must be incredibly liberating to not have to have a conscience, because it's not you. You're just doing what Zoot wants. And it's people who treat religion like that all the time, It's okay for me to hate the gays because that's what my Lord wants. It's not me. It's out of my hands, I'm just listening to my Lord and Savior and following him. So it's okay to be a bigot. And you see that a lot from people.
Yeah.
It's hard to be responsible for yourself. It's exhausting to try and be a self-aware, responsible, decent human being in this world.
Yeah. In this world, let alone in a world like we see in a tribe with no adults, kids left all on their own. It's no wonder people joined the Chosen in that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Trudy. So after the group come to the conclusion that the Chosen must have Brady, and Lex callously announcing that they can have her, Trudy obviously becomes upset and has to be calmed by Celine. And later, Trudy makes an effort to be kind to her, complimenting what she's wearing and reassuring her that she's not going to harm herself, as she needs to be here for when Brady comes back. And this also would allow Celine to go and be with Ryan. And yes, that's what I kind of want to focus on. Panna, what do you think of this scene and kind of Trudy's intuition about Celine, despite everything that has been going on with her emotionally?
It's a beautiful scene. It's really sad and heartbreaking, and watching somebody try to maintain some lucidity despite what she's going through, and take a moment to be like, okay, I'm going to try not to think about myself. I'm going to think about how this is affecting other people and be considerate of them, even though, dude, I'd give her a pass. She doesn't have to be considerate of anybody right now, but she's actually trying to be, which is really sweet. And you see how much effort she's putting into it, how fragile she sounds as she's just trying to reach out to her friend. And, it's like almost an apology. I'm sorry. I know I've been really hard to deal with, and this has been tough, and you've been a good friend to me. Let me think about you. You shouldn't have to be in here taking care of me. And what's happening with you? You have stuff happening too. And it's just a nice moment of friendship, and reminds you that Trudy is a decent person who's going through a really rough time. Of course, it's another writer who apparently seems to like her and is showing her at her best. And I think it's good for Celine too, showing Celine's vulnerability, what she's going through emotionally. And it's just a nice scene between the girls, and reminding you that they are friends, even though a couple other episodes have seemed to have forgotten that. It's like, they're friends. They care about each other. They support each other. It's very needed. I don't know. It's well acted. I really like the scene. I like the way it's lit. I love Antonia and Victoria together. It's just well done. Good dialogue and chemistry.
I like Trudy's realization in that with no, wait, you're watching me. No, I'm not going to do anything stupid. I need to be here when she gets back. It's her realizing that, okay, she's a mess, and they know what she could do when she's such a mess. So yeah, I think it's a nice little detail that she's realizing that and actually daring to say it out loud for once.
Yeah, that was a nice callback to season 1.
I still think Trudy is on like some type of a Truman Show movie where I feel like nobody in the mall is like communicating with her, or they just leave out important details for her. Like when they're all just talking about, oh yeah, the Chosen, they have Brady and this and that, and she's asking like, who has Brady? What's going on? And they're just like, what? It's hilarious to watch, but then also it's like, why are you doing this to this poor woman?
I didn't want to get into it, but yeah, that their reaction and that they're in reaction, I should say, to not even saying anything made it even worse. Yeah, I didn't like it, so I'll just move over it. But yeah,
if I were her, and I would have heard Lex just say, "Oh, they can have her," because that's what she walked into.
And no one says anything.
I would have probably tried to strangle Lex if I were her.
It just makes it worse. No one says a thing.
It seemed like everyone was like smiling and looking at each other like, oh, look, she's doing it. She's becoming into her moody state.
It's not moody.
I like the way, I will say this, even though, yeah, there's still a lot of crappy behavior towards Trudy's situation, but I still think this one's written better than it has been, because for example, it makes sense for Lex to be so cold and callous and cruel, especially when you consider Lex's headspace, where he is. He is going to regress to his jerk state. He has nothing going for him, and this is Lex's default state when he's dealing with that abyss, and that's where Lex is. So it makes sense for Lex to be the one to say something, but you'll notice no one else joins in with that kind of callousness. And when Trudy hears him, they're more stunned into silence. Like, anyway, it just seems like they're more just like, crap, what do we say? She just heard that. We don't have any answers for her. We're just speculating, talking about this, and we can't have a rational conversation with her about it. And but you'll notice after, they've sent Celine to be with her, listen to the way they're all talking. There is way more empathy shown for her than they have previously. Like, even when Jack says she needs help, he's not saying it in his jerkish way. He's saying it in like, we should be concerned. Our friend is spiraling. She needs help, more help than we can actually give her. I did think this is good, well written. The characters are written to be better. Like, I don't know, human beings who are trying to deal with a crisis compared to before was like they're written like they just didn't care at all. Or was it just, is that just me?
Yeah,
No.
that Jack's line. No, I felt the opposite. That was quite callous and rude. Yeah, I didn't get that genuine feelings of caring at all.
It felt so fitting for Jack to respond that way.
Yeah,
though.
fitting, but again, just goes to adds more fuel to the fire. Yeah, I didn't get that like fuzzy feelings from that at all.
Well, I didn't get fuzzy feelings. I'm not saying that these guys are coming across as the Care Bears this time. Just more that I do think it's better written. Like, they just feel more human. They're all highly motivated. Whereas before, it made no sense for their callousness and their lack of empathy. Right? I just think this episode does a much better job of the characters behaving in a way that makes sense for who they are, what they're feeling, what they're going through, and what they're concerned about at any given time. I just think it's better written. That's all. I'm not saying it gave me gooey feelings like, oh, the Mallrats are wonderful. Just more like, this makes more sense the way they're reacting here. They're still not reacting the way I wish they were, but it's just better. Or maybe my standards are so low because they started it, the bar is under the ground. So maybe I'm just like, any improvement is amazing.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it just still feels that everyone's reaction is just nowhere near the level it should be. Because, I mean, come on, like, everyone's talking about what's happening, and Trudy comes in at a point where she hears that they might know where her baby is, and no one says anything. No one says what they might have heard. No one says that she might be okay. No one says anything. And they just all just, oh, she's going off on one. Oh, let's lead her away. Let's calm her down. It's like, it's just wrong. I just don't like it at all. It's just nowhere near the level it should be.
I will say one of my favorite things about this conversation, Trudy aside, is this is the confirmation. Now, we speculated, did Ebony guess that the Chosen might have had something to do with Brady? Mm-hmm. But there's no proof that she did. We knew that we've all agreed that we're pretty sure she recognized them at the tribal gathering. Like, I think I know who these people are. They were former locos. But she had nothing to go off of. And all she could do was pretend she didn't know who they were. And then it's only after these guys attack Dal and give this exposition dump, for Dal to report who they are, what they're doing, what their goal is, blah, 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 that Ebony immediately connects them to wanting something that belonged to Zoot. But she doesn't say Brady. She says Bray, even though it's like, and it's someone else who has to say, duh, maybe they already have... It's Tyson, actually. He says they probably already have what they wanted. If the argument is that they want something of Zoot's, hello, Brady's already missing, and then you'll notice that Ebony immediately gets into gear. She's on board for searching for this child, and I love it because it's like once she's made the connection, she's already decided, I'm going to seek them out. You know what I mean? Like, I might have already found my army to, achieve my goals. And I just thought that was really interesting, watching her make the connection, immediately be like, Bray, they're probably after you. And it's just really cool. I like that. Confirmation that she knows now. She knew before Tyson said anything. They took this baby. And Now she's interested in finding the baby. Of course, she doesn't. She's not.
Yeah, if they want something of Suits, he's not sharing, no matter if it's that baby.
She is so crafty. I love it.
Yeah.
I just love how concerned she suddenly is. Like, I'm like, where did this come from? Like, she's suddenly really concerned about everyone's safety. She's telling everybody, you need to stay in the mall. Only my team is going to go looking, you know? And you're like, oh, she wants to make sure she knows where everybody is, you know? And I just was like, wow, the wheels turning immediately. She's like a bloodhound. She just got a scent and she is off on the trail, you know?
I mean, and that leads on to the next thing. Like, what was everyone's reaction to Bray realizing that Ebony had made a connection with the Chosen and the ex-Locos? Like, don't you think you should have done a bit more about it?
I don't have anything.
He just like lets her go. It's like, really, Bray?
Ebony had him in a love spell. That's what it was.
Like, that's a big revelation. You've made the connection that these Chosen are part of the ex-Locos. So and you let Ebony go and search for your missing niece. Like, really?
I think he's just holding out hope that his charms can still make Ebony do whatever he really wants her to do. Or he's just holding out hope that she might be a decent person somewhere far, far, far underneath.
But yeah, I mean, we know Bray always holds out that kind of hope for her, but this is a serious situation here.
Yeah. But we already established that he doesn't really care that they have his niece. He didn't care before when he didn't know who had her, and it really hasn't changed right now.
I think he cares. I just don't think they've done a very good job of showing it. But then again, Bray can be like that. You know, he can be strange about how he shows the way he cares for people. So, and it can be weird, especially with small children. You know, I think I've mentioned before that I didn't spend a lot of time with my nieces and nephews when they were small. And one might get the impression I didn't give a crap about them because I was just never with them. But I was busy. I had stuff going on. But if they needed anything, if anything happened to them, I would drop everything for them, you know? So, I mean, Bray's not the type he's going to babysit Brady, you know, and he's not going to spend a lot of time holding her. And we already know Bray's not very expressive with what he's feeling. He internalizes so much. I don't know why where he's going with Ebony. I think it's just, once again, Bray's underestimating her or giving her more credit than she deserves. Or he just thinks he can handle her. And if he can just manipulate her just so she'll do the things he knows she's capable of. And it's just overestimating her, you know, or overestimating what he knows about her, as usual.
Yeah.
But she's doing a good job acting like she's on the same page with him. You know what I mean? Like, she's acting like, look, we're going to find this kid. You know, like, she's acting very concerned. And so he must feel like he's making progress. Like, okay, she's serious about this. So what I'm saying to her must be working. You know what I mean? Like, my veiled threats about how if she doesn't do this, if she doesn't succeed at this, and her position is ruined, he must think her reaction is due to him, even though it's not, you know.
Yeah, I think Bray does care about Brady, but also he gives off that uncle vibe that he's like, he would just give like a niece $20 to go to the mall. He's like, yeah, go have fun, and just not spend time with her. But yeah, I love in this scene. I love the chemistry that Bray and Ebony showed. I want more of that tension. I need it. Why can't they just give us a whole season of just Bray and Ebony just talking to each other?
They did, season 3. They're stuck together for most.
I'm not even counting that. I'm not even going to count that. You know why? Because Amber was in the way.
She wasn't even around them for most of the season. It's just the two of them off on their little rebellion.
But she was around there enough to ruin their love sequence.
Keep dreaming, Carlin.
I will.
But that's because of what the things Ebony has done.
Yeah, Ebony had already ruined it for herself by then.
We all make mistakes.
Bad choices. There's a difference between mistakes and willfully doing things to harm people. Those aren't mistakes. Those are choices.
Everyone deserves a 15th chance.
Yeah, but she's already past that.
15th chance. I love that. Most people will be like, people deserve second chances. And it's just like, yeah, she made her quota a long time ago. And Carlin, he knows. He's like, oh,
Well, I
she's
can't wait to
like-
get to the episode because she changed. She changed as a human being.
Oh,
Oh, isn't he sweet, you guys?
so precious. You believe there's
He's
good in
so
her.
precious. You sweet summer child.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this next bit, but
Skip it.
I don't want to talk about Ryan and Celine. But does anyone want to talk about Ryan and Celine? Blah blah blah. Who wants to speak about them?
I will say this about Ryan and Celine. Again, it is exhausting watching their conflicts. I agree. It's not fun. But they at least have them. They do work through them in a realistic way, especially given their age. And I actually liked the conflict in this episode. I thought it was sensitively handled from both points of view. The empathy is for both Celine and Ryan in the misunderstanding of what's going on. Celine feeling undesirable, unwanted, unloved, and unworthy, and not understanding why, and too young, too immature, and too scared to talk to him about what she's feeling. And that scene where she just finds the room empty and she's crying because Ryan decided to go on guard duty, that really broke my heart because we've all been there in a relationship where there's nothing seriously wrong, but we don't understand what's going on and we don't know what to do because we don't have enough experience to deal with it. But the episode also shows empathy for Ryan's situation when we finally get to see what it is Ryan's afraid of and why he's avoiding intimacy with Celine and what he says to Lex about it. Like, not everybody is sex mad like you. You know, that's literally how he defines it, you know, and how disgusted he is that Lex would even insinuate that Ryan is only kind to his girlfriend because he's getting laid, you know. I really like it. I think it's sensitive to both of them. Again, I get why it's not fun for anyone to watch, but considering how many times we have to watch Ryan and Celine back and forth, not talking, not explaining themselves to each other, just constant misunderstandings, this is definitely one of the better handled episodes. I feel for the both of them.
I disagree so much, Liz. Do you know why? Because we had that scene episodes ago where Ryan, on the way to the farm, Ryan told her what his deepest fears were. And he said it again when they were together in the mall. And Celine just is not listening. She's still trying to force it over and over and over again every single night. Come to bed, come to bed, come to bed. We're going to do this. It's like, no, like you can't force this. And she's not listening. There's no communication on her side at all. I don't feel it at all.
Yeah, it has not registered with her that he hasn't done those things yet. She just
He's
thinks,
told her his fears, and she's not listening.
I know, but she
She's
will
not
tell us
listening to him.
later that she had no idea how inexperienced Ryan was. Like, we'll find that out later.
Yeah.
How surprised Celine is to find out that Ryan's never been with anybody. Like, she just makes the assumption because he's a guy, he was friends with Lex, that he's been with other girls.
yeah,
She says as much later, and which explains why she thinks, well, he just needs some encouragement. He just needs to know that I want to do it with him and that I trust him.
He's telling her no. Give me space.
I know that.
And
And
she's
I'm
still
not,
saying, come to bed.
Lance, I said I understand it's frustrating to watch, but this is very human. And maybe I can relate to it because I remember being a 15-year-old girl and being in these situations. And I understand why Celine thinks, like, Ryan told her, I'm just afraid of what'll happen if we're together. And she thought, well, I trust you and you'd never be like Lex. So in her mind, that's enough. She's reassured him. She thinks we're over the hurdle. So every time Ryan still pushes her away, it becomes this thing in her mind rather than being able to, like you said, listen to him and realize he's just not ready to do this with me. What her brain is turning it into is, I'm disgusting, I'm monstrous. He doesn't want me.
he doesn't want me. There must be something wrong with me.
There
That's
must be
what she
something wrong
hears.
with me. Especially when she had to watch him pine over Zandra so much. And she thought Zandra was very glamorous and very beautiful. I guarantee Celine has told herself he wouldn't have hesitated to be with Zandra, but he's hesitating to be with me. And if she already thinks that she's not worthy of Ryan's love, or basically anyone's love, and, is disgusted with herself most of the time, I'm just not surprised that she's taken herself into this spiral in her own head, And of course, yes, this would be solved if she told Ryan, I feel like you don't want me, and this sucks. I hate how this feels. But again, she's 15. She can't do that. And I get it, though. It's really frustrating to watch. I guess I just have a lot of empathy for it because I remember being this way. And
I got none. Sorry. None.
You were never a 15-year-old girl.
No, but okay, if the situation was switched, okay, let's switch the situation around. If this was Ryan trying to force Celine to come to bed over and over again, the conversation would be quite different. It would be quite different.
Ryan is doing exactly
the same way right now, even though it's Celine. It's not right. I don't feel. I understand what you guys are saying about her, what she's feeling, but
I don't feel like she's forcing Ryan to bed at all. Yeah. She never forces him to bed. She's encouraging him. She's letting him know, you are welcome to come here, please be with me, please lay down with me. But she's not forcing Ryan. Yeah. And I can honestly say that if it were Ryan in the bed and Celine avoiding the bed, and Ryan was like, please, Celine, come to bed, and Ryan was the one agonizing, going, I think she doesn't want me because I'm not a hot guy, I would have the same feelings for them. If they're behaving exactly the same, I would. Because I don't feel like she's trying to force him or forcing intimacy on him that he doesn't want. You know what I mean? She's definitely trying to encourage it and doesn't understand why he's rejecting it because it never, wouldn't. And of course, like you said, if it occurs to her, if she believes that he simply doesn't want to be with her, her brain turns that into a rejection. And so Sabine mentioned it before, it's mixed signals for Celine. If 1 minute Ryan is like, I don't want to be anywhere near you. So that tells her brain that he's not into me. And then the next morning he's bringing her breakfast in bed and putting a blanket around her. What is it doing to her mind and her concept of what relationships are supposed to be? Not saying it's right. I understand why it's annoying for you, but I'm just explaining why to me, I'm like, I get this. I understand this. And this is just one of the better episodes exploring the conflicts between the two. Because there are times when it's just like, I have zero patience for them.
And at least now it's obvious what it's about.
And I just feel bad for both of them. I do. I'm just like, oh, come on. I wish you guys could just talk this out. But I've seen adults dealing with the exact same thing and unable to express it or put it into words of what it is, what's going on. And I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I just felt moved by being in that helpless emotional space where it feels like you should be able to logically fix this, but you don't know how to put into words what you're upset about. And you can't fix it, and all you can do is cry about it. And you're just like, how do I get out of this? I don't know. I really don't know how to put this in a box and explain what it is, what the problem is. I don't really know how to do that. And so I just feel helpless in this spiraling emotional state. And clearly Celine feels like so much crap that she ends up binge eating again. And so maybe I'm biased. Maybe that's what it is.
But I think you have a point there. It's just she's in such an insecure state and just assuming that Ryan was with other girls in the past. So why doesn't he want to be with her? What's wrong with her that he doesn't want that with her? Because in her mind, that's what guys want. So for him not to want that with her, that must mean that there's just something about her that he doesn't want.
And it just adds on to her fears that he's only with her because he feels sorry for her. Which she's always struggled with, But no, it's not fun to watch, Lance. You're right. It's annoying. It's annoying because it happens all freaking season. And then a third of the way into the next season.
I have to say, though, that little moment with Lex teasing Ryan and with the kids, it just fit. Because it's such a Lex thing to do.
So Lex.
Well, I, for one, love watching these Ryan and Celine scenes.
Oh,
I love it. I love judging them. No, I'm joking. No, but I love their scenes because it's just a classic story of two really good friends that should not be dating. And they're only dating because they're good friends who have shared tragic emotional experiences with each other, and that's how they became close. I think throughout this season, or even this episode, and throughout this season, we kind of see that these two aren't really compatible for each other, but they just care so much about each other that they do everything within their power, physically, emotionally, just to make it work, which it just never does.
There's a fair argument to support that.
Yeah. So back to Ebony and Bray. So no.
See, it's in moments like that where you can be so self-aware about Celine and Ryan.
Hey, I'll talk about anyone else. I'm happy.
And then you go to eBay and you're just in delusions about this relationship.
eBay. I love that name. What's Celine and Ryan's? Rylene?
I think it's Ryan. Yeah.
Let's talk about anyone else other than Ryan and Celine because they do my head in. I can't.
I know that was torture for you, Lance.
I can't.
It's because we're gonna have to talk about it like every episode this season. There's going to be a Ryan and Celine scene to cover.
They're great. Honestly, they're like hilarious. The conversations they have and how awkward it is between them. It's like everyone in the tribe knows that they are a couple, and yet when they see them do everyday things with each other, they look so awkward.
You know what I thought for a while when I watched this when I was younger, when Ryan just would not give in to Celine. My first thought was, okay, so when is he going to tell her he likes boys?
I was just gonna say, who do y'all think would make a better lover for Celine, Ryan or May?
Ryan and Celine never worked. May 100%.
Well, I think there's an argument for both of them. Like, Ryan was good for Celine because of how much he genuinely cared for her and worked so hard for her happiness in most situations. And I feel like everyone deserves someone like that. But I honestly feel like almost like May is who Celine deserved more because of the things that Celine has done. And I feel like she deserves to have a lover who can be just as
Evil?
messed up as her.
No, stop it.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, Celine does some jacked up stuff in her run. And I'm just like, maybe she shouldn't have such a wonderful person who would move heaven and earth for her. Maybe she needs someone with a little more bite like May who can give as good as she gets.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you hurt me, girl.
Well, you know what it is? You know what it is? All this relationship stuff that we're seeing right now with Celine and Ryan, this is just practice for Celine until she gets to May.
Just so there's no misunderstanding, the listeners out there, I am not demonizing Celine or saying she deserves an abusive partner. I'm just hypothetically the joke. May would probably be better for her.
Yeah.
They do have a more emotional connection, I'd say.
I think there's more realistic connection between Celine and May at times,
Right.
Rather I don't know.
I think Celine and Ryan have better chemistry, though.
They do. The actors have fantastic chemistry, but she has good chemistry with May as well. And you could argue that with Ryan, Celine is trying to live up to some picture standard of what couples are supposed to be. Almost like if someone was chasing the American dream or whatever. I feel like that's what she's trying to be with Ryan. But with May, she's kind of forced to be real because May's like, yeah, I see you. I don't hold you on some kind of pedestal. I know who you are. I've seen your mistakes. I'll call you out on them, but I like you anyway. And Celine is the same way. She's seen all the crap May does. She's seen the dark side of May. She's forgiven her anyway. So maybe that's why I feel like they'd be a better couple, because they're like meeting each other as real people without a facade of what we should be. Just like, look at this is our ugly, grimy selves. I love you. Get in here.
She's never really that way with Pride, though.
Again, with Pride, it feels she's more mature with Pride. Like she's been on this road, but I still feel like with Pride, trying to create an image of what perfect love should be. She's better with Pride, though. I'll give you that. Definitely. More mature, more real about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I was never a Celine Pride fan either.
Yeah, that was a weird
No.
relationship. Almost as weird as Ebony and Bray. Or, no, excuse me. Ebony and Jay.
I mean, the only thing I had against Celine and Pride was, well, me wanting to ship Pride with other people.
So bringing it back to this episode, I would say that we're just stuck watching Celine in her first real relationship. And it's exhausting. Watching two people in their first real relationship. Because you can't count Bray or Zandra as relationships, because those two were just crushes and infatuations and never went anywhere. So these two are literally having their first love experience together. And it's as messy as they usually are.
And they don't know it about each other.
Yeah.
It would have helped them so much if they just knew.
They're learning on the job. They're just learning on the job. And my first love was just as messy as this. So I can't even judge them, even when I'm like, I hate you two so much.
Mm-mm.
You know what Ryan and Celine actually remind me of? It's like one of those comedies, like two kids from high school who make a bet, like, oh, well, if they don't get married by 30, then they'll marry each other and make a life of it. It's just that kind of situation. The two going, oh, so we need to make a go of it now.
That's exactly what it is.
They are very much the cliche characters of a romantic comedy. The one we've all seen a billion times.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's a romantic comedy. Let's see. Taizan is like the weird hippie girl in school.
And almost every episode is the third act misunderstanding. Like,
Yep.
where they have to like break up and go separate ways.
Yeah. Trudy's like the best friend who's the
The
comic relief.
relationship is just perpetually in that stage. They're constantly falling like in love, and then the misunderstanding. Boom. We're just reliving the movie over and over again. We forced you to talk about it, Lance.
I know. I didn't want to talk about Celine. Ryan.
Lance kept like, I don't want to talk about these guys, but we were like, we have so much to say.
And we've got all season to talk about them too. Oh.
The whole season.
Yeah, actually, speaking of love, guys, what did you make of the flirting between Bray and Tyson?
At that point in time, I would have preferred them to Bray and Danny. I was rooting for them.
Because that was clearly flirting. That was you can't even say that was just friendly.
That wasn't innocent.
That was flirting.
Cute scene. They got great chemistry. It's nice to see Bray giggle. Like, we rarely ever see Bray having a good time. And so I like that. And it's nice to see Tyson also letting loose. It's nice to see Tyson connecting with someone over something she loves and is really good at doing. And Bray actually finding some kind of contentment in doing it too. And like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. It's kind of relaxing, you know. Bray is away from everything. He's in a really nice headspace right now. I like all that. I think it's well shot, well acted. Actors are doing a great job. And that's all I have to say about it. It makes me wish that Bray had more friendship moments with people. Like, he got to connect with other people rather than just love interests or ex-love interests. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't get to connect with anybody. And this is the kind of scene it makes me wish he had, where he could have actually had these kind of engagements with other people, because it's always so obvious who Bray is going to be with. You know what I mean? And he doesn't really get to interact with anyone that he isn't going to share his bed with. You know, he rarely ever gets to be with someone where it's like will he, won't he, you know, it's always like, he will with this person, he will. It absolutely will happen. So this is one of those few moments with Bray and another female where it's like, ooh, will they, won't they? And it's just refreshing to see.
See, and I just thought, okay, here goes another one.
Actually, what I take away from this scene, aside, Tyson, Bray, whatever, tantalizing, whatever you make of it, that's cool. But for me, what I take away from it is that I wish I could have seen this play out with Amber in the role of Danny. Like, I wish I could have seen Amber going down the path of becoming too authoritative. Like, of course, I can't say it now.
The jealous
but
girlfriend?
becoming a dictator. Like, this was her storyline, and I really would have liked to see them work that in for her, since they already sowed the seeds of it in season 1, of Amber having issues with power and perhaps taking it too far at times in her need to control everyone and take care of everyone. So I would have actually really liked to see this, because as is the scene with Dany coming in and being all whatever and Tyson kicking her out, it's cute, it's amusing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything, because our sympathy isn't really with Dany. I don't feel like anyone really agrees with what Dany's trying to do. And even if we don't like Tyson, we would rather Bray not be with Dany working on these Bill of Rights, because we don't agree with her Bill of Rights. And it just makes Dany come across as whiny and entitled. But can you imagine how much more poignancy the scene would have if this was Amber and she and Bray were not on the same page about the Bill of Rights, and she feels like Tyson is literally coming between not only her leaders, but their relationship as well, and the fact that they all have a history? Wouldn't this scene be so much better if it was Amber?
Now you're making me dream of that again.
Let me tell you what this scene showed me. This Tyson scene. It showed me that Amber and Tyson are the most dangerous characters in the tribe, because they have the potential to take your man.
Well, they do.
That's what it told me. Yeah, and this chemistry. Well, I feel like Bray can have chemistry with anybody. You know, he's kind of like, I don't know. He feels like he's in a boy band. Like he can have that kind of. I don't know. He can have that effect on people, I guess. There's kind of. It makes me think what tribe members didn't fall for Bray in a grand sense of things. But yeah, it was a nice little moment. It was cool. It was foiled by Dany, though. Dany wasn't having it. She said no.
Yeah, I just think about that, and I'm like, I don't care about Dany not getting her Bill of Rights. I don't give a crap. It means nothing. It doesn't feel like Bray is betraying Dany. He doesn't owe Dany anything. You know, he never really agreed to any of this. She's pushing him down this path and, you know, getting all annoyed when he has other priorities, which are a little bit more important than her book of law she wants to enforce upon the city. And she just feels whiny. But imagine, I'm just thinking, if this was Amber, the tension of Bray choosing between her and Tyson, you know what I mean? It's not just choosing like whether or not it's the Bill of Rights or the antidote, the formula, blah blah blah, but it's literally, is he betraying his girlfriend in this moment? You know what I mean? And is Tyson purposely coming between these lovers? Because Bray doesn't owe Dany anything, but he would owe Amber. So the scene just falls flat, and all I can think of is what could have been.
I've come back and forth on that for years, because I actually feel like Dany was trying to do something good, because, well, like Jack said a couple of episodes, oh yeah, we need some rules. So I had sympathy for that part, but for her claim on Bray, that just annoyed me.
Yeah, Dany's intentions with her Bill of Rights, they were all good intentions. They're all well intentions, but I guess the best way to explain it, she just got lost in her vision, and her trying to accumulate power to let that vision come true.
If she would have been given more power, she would have just been dangerous, though.
If she would have gotten more power, she definitely would have threw some of the tribe members out of the Mallrats.
It doesn't help that at this point we still don't know what motivates Dany.
Mm-hmm.
We still don't really know why she wants this power. You know, we haven't spent enough time with her, you know, and if she just wants to help people, for example, they did a better, again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep comparing her to Amber, but I'm doing it for the writer's point of view and the whole point when you're writing a scene and what you're trying to accomplish. Amber, the way they got across what motivates Amber was showing that she wasn't just interested in taking charge and telling people what to do. Amber went out of her way with every single person she ever met to make their lives comfortable, to help them, assist. So we got to understand that this is just who Amber is. She tries to take care of everyone. Her opening scene is her rescuing a child just because. Just because the child needed somebody to save her. There was no gain in it for Amber. She would have been better off leaving Chloe there, but she saved her. That is our introduction to her. So when Amber starts taking control of things in the mall, we understand what motivates her. We get it. It's not so much power, it's just that Amber feels a need to take care of everyone and make the world better. They don't do this with Dani. They show that she wants to take over. They say that she wants to help, but notice the way Dani treats individuals in the mall. Does Dani do anything to help them or make their lives better? Does Dani, on a daily basis, do anything that really convinces you that all Dani wants to do is help people? So instead, her intentions just come across as she wants to be in charge, and we don't really know why. So it just doesn't work.
I think in the next few episodes, or at least for me, I kind of, or at least watching it again, I can kind of see her doing things every single episode, trying to do better, of just harassing people. What are you doing for the city? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Like, I can see that. That's just me, though.
But again, that more comes across Dani just wanting to control how other people behave rather than she herself doing anything to help anyone.
Yeah.
Like, she's more interested in just being in charge and telling people what to do rather than helping anyone. We don't really see her helping anyone unless she's in a position of authority. And that's just always sus. You know, it's like, oh, you only help when you get to be in charge, you know? And I think that's where it falls flat. Because again, we don't know what's motivating Dani. Because she can say it's because she cares about people, but I haven't seen anything that proves to me that she really does care about anybody.
Well, in all fairness, anyone ever in this entire series who's ever helped someone had to be in a position of power to do so.
No.
I think the way...
agree with that.
Oh,
Okay, what's an example?
An example of someone helping someone when they weren't in a position of power to do so?
I mean, helping
Mouse helping Ellie.
Mouse help... Not Mouse.
You wanted an example.
You wanted an example? That's an example.
What
Mouse
did
is
she
not
help?
in a position. She's not in a position of power, but she does something kind to help Ellie just because she cares about Ellie.
There's plenty. So many.
There's a lot of examples of people. I just don't agree that people only help when they're in a position of power.
To actually make a difference, or maybe I'm not making a good
She
argument.
made a difference. Ellie's still alive because of that.
Oh, you're talking about when she did that? I guess.
Yeah.
And they stole apples just so that Ellie would know they gave a crap about her. Like, we'll miss you. We're thinking of you. We hope you have a safe journey. We stole this bag of apples for you.
I just don't like Mouse, but I do feel like Dani was trying to help. Obviously, it wasn't. I think she can't help like little like day-to-day things, and maybe like helping someone, like just maybe giving them food, or maybe helping someone find shelter for the night, or just those little things that might make a difference for that individual, but not for the entire city. I think she is, and obviously we haven't gotten to this point yet, but I think she's feeling such guilt that she's trying to think big. She's trying to do something big that can help everybody, not just individuals.
I agree with you 100%. But my point I was making is that it harms her character because we do not know why she is doing what she's doing. So it's really hard to care about her because we don't know what motivates her. We don't know why this Bill of Rights is so important to her. She just comes across as bratty and entitled, again, because they don't do a good job of giving her a motive. So we're just like, where do you get off? Forcing this on everybody. Again, that's a choice they made, and I get it. I understand. But it just doesn't really make her have a motivation that is understandable for everyone, because you're watching her and you're like, it can't be that you care about people, because you really don't show that you do care about people. Obviously, when we find out what motivates her, that's awesome. We're like, oh my gosh, now a lot of her actions make sense. But until we find that out, her character floats in limbo, and it does harm her character. So it's like, that's what they sacrifice to make her character mysterious, they sacrifice the audience, connecting to her, I guess. And that's a choice. That's a choice. I'm not saying it's a good choice or a bad choice, but it's a choice they made. And it definitely affected how people felt about her actions. In hindsight, her actions make perfect sense. Absolutely. But it doesn't make her any more likable in moments like this.
Of course. Yeah, I agree.
And that's the sacrifice you make when you're thinking as a writer, do I want to keep this character's motivations a surprise? Or do I really want to, help the audience understand why they do what they do, And it wouldn't have been a problem because Amber would have already been established at this point. So again, that's another reason Dani suffers, because they wouldn't have had to show Amber constantly doing things for people by this point, because it's already been established that that's what she does. But when they have a new character, they can't have her coming in and just taking care of everybody, because who are you? We don't know you. And so a scene like this, I think, was meant to be really great. Instead, it just falls flat. So we're like, Dani, get out of here.
Go home, Roger.
No.
Go home, Dani.
Take your Bill of Rights and go.
Dani, no swiping.
Get out of my house. Get your EpiPen and your sleeping bag and get out of my house.
My message to you is stay calm. Remain hopeful. We will defeat this plague from the stars. God bless you all.
Yeah, God bless you too.
Well, what do you think? Was I convincing?
Yes, sir. Very convincing, I'd say.
I think I'll swallow all that guff about the comment.
Okay, before we get to the final cliffhanger, let's talk about Jack and the virus, because he rewatches the presidential broadcast and leaves it running, only to discover that the story about the comet is actually a lie. When he later tries to show Ellie, somebody has stolen the tape. Just trying to think back. Do you guys remember what you initially thought when you heard that this comet story was a lie?
My first thought was, well, of course it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, duh.
Yeah. I was not surprised that that didn't shock me that they were lying about the origins of the virus. I was like, these kids, all the signs that were given that nobody really understood where this stuff came from. I was just like, they probably were lying about this, and we probably can't trust this either. And at the end of the day, it kind of didn't matter like exactly where it came from, but I was just like, yeah, I'm not surprised. I was more surprised that someone stole it. I was like, ooh, who stole the tape? Who is it? Who wants to hide this information?
Yeah, and that was so obvious because there was only one person who was interested in it and was trying to convince them to let it go.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Dani, you're just an evil person. This is not your episode, girl.
Yeah, this is the one time something went missing, and I did not blame Celine or KC for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this wasn't something Celine would sell for food, and well, KC just simply has no use for it.
Another question I'm like, I'm going to admit, I never really had believed that the antidote storyline had been intended for Amber. I thought it was created for Dani, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it just didn't make sense with Amber's behavior in season 1 if her father had actually worked for this. She was too clueless about where they could find answers. If her father had worked, wouldn't she be like, my dad had a laboratory, blah, blah, blah. So I just thought this is something they made up for Dani. That's cool. But it seems like this where I'm just like, if they did make it up for Dani, then this scene wouldn't have had to exist. You know what I mean? And so I'm just like, if this scene hadn't existed, what the heck did they have Ellie and Jack doing this whole time? And then it makes me confused. Like, maybe they did have the virus storyline written for Amber, and it just retconned her behavior from season 1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for a while, it's just something on my mind, but I always wondered if they just had a separate storyline about the virus made for, well, the character that eventually became Dani, and just decided to merge it with the things they had worked out for Amber.
Oh, that makes the most sense. Jeez, why is it? I'm pulling a Jack. I'm looking at the most complicated answer. That makes the most sense ever. I mean, you're a genius. That's why I love you. That makes sense.
Just edit in Jack with "I'm a genius, I'm a genius."
So much sense that they would have just merged the character, that Danny could have existed. She just maybe didn't have as prominent a role. Wow.
She could have all been planned to just be this girl that Bray came across during their search of the city. But with Amber suddenly gone,
Yeah.
You know what? That would have been.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that. It's the most logical thing I've heard, and you're the first person to mention it.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that theory. Don't agree with it, but yeah, that's a good theory.
I think that would be good, especially if Danny wasn't, a main character, right? Like, we hardly saw her throughout the season, but still has that entire story arc. Because some of my favorite TV shows of all time have done that. And then the characters become so popular that they decided to keep them on for later seasons as a main character.
Yeah, I think it's a very good and strong theory. I'm still kind of in Lance's camp where I don't feel like Danny was meant to exist, but I'm just saying, like, there's a good argument for it. Danny...
Yeah, existing in some form.
In some form. And then she just became a Hydra because Amber was gone. I'm just saying, there's a very strong argument for it. And at the same time, it's like, I don't think she was supposed to exist, but it seems like this, where it's just, it brings up a valid question. Like, I like that. I like that a lot. That makes for good conversation, good discussion there,
You'll have to do better than that. The Chosen don't need the antidote. I don't want it. You want a deal? There's only one thing I'm interested in.
What's that?
The mother.
Trudy?
You deliver Trudy to me, and we'll have a deal.
Why Trudy?
To complete the family. Zoot, Trudy, Brady. The sacred triangle.
So after earlier knocking out KC, who had been following her, Ebony miraculously tracks down the Chosen and tries to make a deal with the Guardian, who she knows as Jaffa, to get rid of the Mallrats and share power. The Guardian, however, isn't interested in anything she's offering and only wants Trudy to reunite the family of Zoot. Yes, panel, what did you make of that final cliffhanger and Jaffa's intentions?
Love it.
Yeah, anything with Ebony, I'm all for.
I didn't love it for what it implies is going to happen to Trudy. Like, this girl has suffered enough, but just on a scale of, like, Ebony, her deviousness, her thinking she can handle this situation. She's trying to manage Jaffa. I love it. She went in there with a plan, and she thinks she knows what he wants. But she completely underestimated what he was interested in. She is flabbergasted that he doesn't give a crap about the antidote and her ideas of power. And then when he hits her with what he really wants, I loved it. I was just like, this is so Ebony. She's so the type of person to do this. And now it made sense why she was suddenly concerned to go search for Brady and how controlled her search was. She made sure she knew where everyone was going to be so that nobody would know where she was going to be, which I thought, brilliant. Jeez, girl, you're so diabolically genius. I love it. And then Jaffa hitting her up, like, showing himself to be a worthy opponent and not just a nutcase, because all those other times you see him, he presents himself like he's just crazy. And then here he is talking so logically, so factually, and it's like he gets one over on her because she's got nothing he wants. I'm like, this was a brilliant conversation and this is like your true introduction to who Jaffa is. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. He's not crazy. This kid's got a plan, and he sounds so calm, and I don't want your antidote. We don't need it. That's so creepy the way you said that.
He's a crazy kid with a plan.
Ooh, I love this. This is a great cliffhanger. And I'm like, oh, we're not done torturing Trudy. Poor girl.
This is the Let's Torture Trudy show. Of course they're not done.
Is it wrong that I was kind of happy that she reunited with her daughter?
Yeah, after the concerns from before, it was nice to see Brady was alive.
I'm like, well, maybe they'll be together. That'll be there.
It's just such a perfect scene for Ebony. It makes total sense that she would try to find them and then just assume that she had credit with them. But I was Zoot's woman, so come on, bow down to me.
I liked how she tried that, yeah.
I mean, she called herself the priestess, for a while after Zoot was gone, with her priestess power. And
we can just take them out, you, me, and he's just like, why? Like, I'm not interested in your power plays, Ebony. You need me. Tell me why I need you. She's like, I can get you the antidote. He's like, I don't want it. We don't need it. And she's just like, what? She reacts just like Dal. Like, and it tells you the limitations to Ebony's understanding of what other people might want with power. They may not want it for the same reason she does, and she cannot fathom that. I love it though. She's like desperate to sell the Mallrats down the river.
Yeah.
And she
because whatever she will she will just go to the person who has the power at that moment and try to establish herself as, well, top dog.
I also love the fact that Jaffa's looking at Ebony and he's reading her. Like, I don't think Jaffa ever liked her. I'm sure he probably looked at her and thought, Zoot, what are you doing? You're too good for her, And what he says to her, you are nobody. You used to lead the Locos, but you're nobody to us now, Ebony. And it really reflects Ebony's fear of her own image, that she is nobody and she has been nobody for a while. Because who is she without her power? Without her reputation, who is she? She's nobody. She's just a tramp with a load of bully boys running after her. And I really like that he calls her out on that, and she just I just like that she underestimated him. I do I love that. And he's just like, sweetie, you once were running the Locos. You lost it. And why would Jaffa actually make a real deal with her? Why would Ebony truly think she could make a deal with this guy when he's looking at her and already knows, sure, you'll totally screw over the people you're living with, and then you'll do it to me. Do you really think I'm going to let you in here? He's too smart for that. And the fact that Jaffa's smarter than Ebony here, it makes him a awesome, formidable opponent.
It makes him scarier than ever before.
Especially since he's super calm.
It was as if he was like, I'm not going to let you betray me, Ebony. I'm not Bray.
Great way to end the episode. Good scene. Ebony's just like, Trudy? She was not expecting that. Like, crap.
And poor Ebony in that, because once again, the guy's more interested in Trudy than in her.
It always comes back to Trudy.
It's always with, like, what do you want with that one?
I can't get away from her.
You can just see it in her face with, what do you people always want with her?
That must be irritating. She presents herself to Jaffa like, yo, you got Zoot's woman here, and we could team up and take over this city and run it together. And Jaffa's like, yeah, no thanks. But could you give me Trudy?
Because she was really Zoot's woman.
That girl behind you. Oh my gosh, like, it's that moment you're in class and your crush turns to you in class and gives you an envelope, a folded letter, and you're like, oh my gosh. And they go, can you give this to the girl behind you or the boy behind you? And it's like, this keeps happening to Ebony.
That's exactly what it is.
Even a crazy person won't join her for power. But could you go get Trudy?
I mean, she's known him. We'll later see how long she's known Jaffa.
You gotta be kidding me.
Trudy? This is high school all over again, people.
She is stuck in the high school loop. No wonder she hates Trudy so much.
I do love how this perfectly sets up what happens later on with the story. That's really well done.
I love it because Ebony is left with thinking, she thought, I just have to get the antidote. But now she's like, I have to get a whole human person out here.
You want her? Fine.
I'm a woman, and I'm not good enough. But you want Trudy, her. Why does everybody want her? What is so special about her?
Yeah, it was, can't wait for the next episode. Sets up everything pretty perfectly. Yeah. I do like how Jaffa snapped his fingers and the rest of the Chosen They're so coordinated. They just all at once. They just gather up towards the fence.
It shows that he actually has power.
Their floor routine is flawless.
Yeah.
I want to see the Chosen halftime show.
You know what I actually want? And that's, I know there's different opinions here, but we had that one book about the mole rats written by Harry, and I just really want one from the Chosen period, just giving us insight into what Jaffa was up to with them.
My favorite part about this last scene is Jaffa himself. You guys, I have such a shame-based crush on the Guardian.
You are not alone.
I love Damon so much. The confidence he exudes in this scene, the way he holds himself up against Ebony, who has already been set up as just one of our premier thinkers and, people that we have to be concerned about. And so the fact he's able to stand toe-to-toe with her is so awesome. The lighting is great. I'm just like, Jaffa, can I join the Chosen just and brush your hair?
Here we go again.
He's definitely one of the better actors.
You guys, I kind of love him so much. I'm like, Damon, call me.
He's not calling.
I'm sorry. He's so awesome in this scene. He's so awesome in this scene. I mean, he's totally crazy. It wouldn't last, but I love him in this scene, you guys.
Okay, cool. So that brings Series 2, Episode 12 to a close. Thank you very much to the panel. And if you'd like to take part in a future episode of the podcast, then you can send us a message over on our Facebook page or fill out the form over on our site, thetribe.co.uk. So we'll see you next time for Episode 13. Until then, bye.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.